We'll have Mr. Williams do it here.
Well, let's go.
We gotta get our third commissioner up here.
Mr. Brody, we have a cleanup for you in aisle 5.
That time. Sure.
Alrighty, please rise. We are going to do a moment of silence for former Commissioner Arthur Bond this evening. Thank you. Mr. Williams, the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, Dave.
Thank you, sir. Gentlemen, any additions or deletions to the agenda?
No, sir.
Is there a motion to approve the minutes from the last public business meeting?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Alrighty, item number 1, we have the Allegany County Sheriff's Fire Police, 20 years. Gentlemen, please come forward. Everyone. All of us, yeah.
Both the gentleman and the rest of you.
Thank you, Commissioners. In 1997, the Allegany County Fire Police came to existence under the direction of former Sheriff David A. Goad. 20 years later, they are still serving the citizens of Allegany County, with some of the original members guiding the group. This organization has provided safety to firefighters by providing security and traffic assistance, and these men have assisted many tragic events with little or no recognition. Tonight, I would like to honor these gentlemen the respect and recognition they deserve. As I said, in 97, when the fire police first came into existence, Sheriff Goad was then in charge and had actually been at the helm doing that. So at this time, I'd ask David to be here just to give some words in regards to that. So David.
Thank you, Sheriff. Morning, Commissioners.
Sir, afternoon.
Evening. Just want to give you a little idea, maybe a little history. As you just heard, it's 1997 we started this group. Of course, fire police exist in about 14 states across the country, so not many states have fire police. Of course, they're volunteer members of their particular agencies and so forth. When it first started to get this group together, they were only allowed 3 fire police per company. And then, of course, we then went to the legislature and helped our local delegation. We got it up to 12 people. And then, of course, as Dan would say, we started the traveling group, so to speak. Yeah, and everybody, could get around the county and do whatever. Now, of course, under the law, and of course that particular law is, excuse me just a second, is Maryland Public Safety Code, annotated code, section 7303, which gives them their authority. Actually gives them authority as deputy sheriffs. However, it also says they can't carry a gun. They said, well, would it be possible to carry paint guns? And I said, why would you want to carry paint guns? They said, so we could mark the cars that don't pay attention. I said, nope, we're not having paint guns either. We can't do that either. Yeah, exactly, you did. So again, as members, of course, they perform a lot through our public events and conduct things under the auspices of their fire company or an ambulance company, or of course through the sheriff's office. It's a unique group of volunteers, these gentlemen standing here, and it's not to shortchange any other type of volunteers, but where can you find a group of highly dedicated individuals who are on call 24/7, who will leave their homes, respond to an emergency scene, and standing freezing cold, blowing snow, driving wind, rain, and blazing sun for hours on end until they're advised that they can secure and return home. These gentlemen do this every day, pretty much. I don't think many people would do it or, of course, volunteer for this type of job unless there was some type of compensation. Oh, wait, there is compensation. They do get food and drinks occasionally if somebody will provide it. Otherwise, they stand diligently at their post, carrying out the directions provided by whoever the on-scene commander is. This recognition is well-deserved in a timely fashion, and Sheriff, thank you very much. I salute each and every one of our members for your dedication and service. Gentlemen, thank you very much. May God bless each of you and keep you safe. Thank you. Congratulations on your 20th anniversary.
Also, Commissioners, besides the gentleman providing assistance for the Sheriff's Department and the fire departments, other agencies within Allegany County also utilize their services, and that being Cumberland City Police, which Chief Hennett was unable to attend due to another conflict. But I did ask Lieutenant Martz from the Vale Barracks to be here to give a couple words too. HB.
Thanks, Sheriff. And thank you, gentlemen. Congratulations, 20 years. Most of you been, I know you've been the whole time, right? You've been there since the beginning. Yeah. That's wonderful. I'll say this, you know, we have a lot of heroes in our agencies that work for us. We have a lot of folks behind the scenes that work for us, our PCOs, our administrative personnel, and they don't get near the credit that they deserve, because without them, we couldn't do our job. And the sheriff mentioned the volunteers. The volunteers are second to none, especially in Allegany County, and thank God for them. There's nothing stronger than the heart of a volunteer. I appreciate everything that you folks do for our agency every day. We don't use you every day, but we use you a lot. We abuse you sometimes as well. The sheriff and Dave both have mentioned that, you know, you stand your post, and you do. And what makes that so important to us is that when you're on post, that frees up a trooper or deputy or a city gentleman to do some other things that they need to attend to. So in essence, you are part of it. You don't carry a gun, but you're every bit as important as any other police officer that's out there, and I applaud you for that, and thank you very much. Please keep up the good work. Thank you.
Thank you.
I won't read the last thing, but just so you know, for the gentlemen, they had no idea that until tonight I invited the other members, also Lieutenant Morgan, come over from my office also. But I do have a letter which I'm going to give to Danny. It's from Kevin Kamoff, because these guys do so much for the county when it comes to the county fair. So I do have, Kevin could not be here, he tried to be, but he did provide me with a letter which I'll give to Danny, and each of you can read it later on if you wish. So at that time,
Great.
Appreciate the opportunity to recognize these gentlemen, commissioners, and thank you.
Gentlemen, come on up. Come on up. Forward. We got a photo and a proclamation here. Sheriffs? HB?
Sheriffs.
Sheriffs, that's right.
Sheriff, who's this? Tim Morgan.
AJ. Doesn't it start at 12? I barely finished breakfast.
Keep turning.
How you want it?
You got the wide lens?
Slightly wider than before, but it is a challenge. So if everyone,
Squat in there.
They want to turn
if
sideways,
everyone
it don't
can
make
turn
much difference.
sideways, please.
Our side's sideways.
Their bellies are just as wide.
Everyone on this side face that way and that side.
Brother, you've got a lot of wide sides up here.
Okay. I need you, like, right before Commissioner Shade, perhaps. That would be good.
There we go.
Thank
Now we're good.
taller than you're.
Now we're
All right.
Which camera are we looking at here?
We'll start out there.
Start out there.
Paul's up.
Paul's first.
2, 3. Looks good on the radio.
I'm sure it will.
All right.
Where are we looking at?
Oops. It's here for our health.
Okay?
Say when, brother.
No, Brady, you might have to.
Yeah, move over.
I'm hurt. Yeah.
Feel like an owl.
Yes, but this camera is now a different type of camera. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Thanks a lot, appreciate it.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
See you.
Jake, why don't you read that to the public?
Oh, we didn't even get, it reads.
That's one demerit, Jake.
That's right, one demerit. This is an official citation from the Board of Commissioners. It appreciates and congratulates the Allegheny County Fire Police for their 20th anniversary, serving all Allegheny County citizens, supporting law enforcement, contributing to public safety. And that's the September 21st, 2017, signed Creed Brody, Bill Valentine, Jake. Congratulations.
Thank you, Jake.
Now you're gonna take us
You
up
keep
to,
Roger.
Wherever you all want to go.
Gary, it's always a pleasure.
We'll take you down to Old Town.
Another 20 more, you can think about slowing down.
Bill, how you doing?
Sunday at noon? All right.
No, sometimes you get bad. Like I said, you get bad sometimes.
Next up, we have Mrs. Becky Myers for National Recovery Month.
Good evening. I just wanted to really thank you all for all your support that you give the Allegheny County Health Department and all of our efforts, especially the last couple of years with our opioid epidemic. We've been doing our recovery and wellness walk for 6 years and have had events for the past 7 years. And we really appreciate the support and also creating that awareness to deal with the stigma. So again, I really want to thank you all for being a collective part of the county and helping to deal with our opioid epidemic.
Great.
Thank
We do
you.
have a proclamation, so come on up. And did you bring anyone with you?
Just me.
All right.
If everybody else wants to come up, you can.
This is your chance.
We'll fit the picture easier this time.
All right. Well done. This is an official proclamation from Allegheny County government that reads, "Healthy lifestyles, both physically and emotionally, are essential to one's overall wellness. And any individual in any community may have mental or substance abuse disorders at any time. The United States is now overwhelmed by a massive opioid crisis that is of national proportions. Every individual should be knowledgeable about the multifaceted services offered by the Allegheny County Health Department and guide those in need of services. We, the Allegheny County Board of Commissioners, proclaim September 2017 as National Recovery Month in Allegheny County. And it strengthens families and communities. And it's signed the Board of County Commissioners, Creed Brody, Bill Valentine, and Jake Shea. Congratulations.
Come on, Bill.
Thank you very much.
There we go.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Yeah, we got one more. right?
All right. Mental Health Awareness Week, or Mental Illness Awareness Week. Yeah. We'll do, how about we do the picture first? That works.
That is a good idea, Lisa.
This is a proclamation from Allegheny County government. It reads, whereas mental health is an important part of overall health, 1 in 5 adults experience a mental health problem in any given year. Long delays often occur between the time symptoms first appear and the time individuals get help. Early identification and treatment can make a difference. The well-being of all Allegheny County residents is enhanced by the availability and access to quality mental health care provided by dedicated professionals. We, the Board of Commissioners, wish to publicly recognize significant contributions of talented medical professionals and thank them for capably providing this complex health care to our community, and proclaim the week of October 1st through 7th, 2017 to be Mental Illness Awareness Week in Allegheny County. This is signed the 21st day of September 2017. Board of Commissioners, Jake Shade, Creed Brody, Bill Valentine. Congratulations.
All right.
Good.
Thanks, Lisa.
All right, and I'll make it
Yes, ma'am.
brief. First of all, I'd like to thank you because you have, for many years, been very supportive of mental health in Allegheny County, and we appreciate your ongoing support. Mental Illness Awareness Week is a national observance that was designated by Congress in 1990 to recognize the increasing incidence of mental illness. And it takes place the first full week of October, including October 10th, which is World Mental Health Day. So we've been celebrating for the past 24 years with a candlelight celebration, which marks the strides and achievements in brain science treatment and in reducing stigma. We believe that mental health issues are important to address year-round, but highlighting them during Mental Illness Awareness Week provides us with a time for people to come together and display passion and strength of those working to improve the lives of tens of millions of Americans affected by mental illness. Together, we can strive to ensure people living with mental health conditions know they are not alone, that hope exists, and that the possibility of healing and recovery is real. So we invite you to join with us to celebrate Mental Illness Awareness Week and to help support our local community. And I have flyers for you. This year's event will be Tuesday, October 3rd at the Health Department in the community room. And so I brought you some flyers, and I'll send you an email invitation as well. Again, just want to say thank you.
Great.
For all of your support.
Thanks, Lisa.
Thank you. Thank you, Lisa.
Thank you, ma'am.
And since there's not very many people around and no one's really listening, I'm going to, at our last HRDC meeting, Lisa was appointed and voted on to become a board member that was recently vacated by Kevin Turley, which did us a fantastic job. So I don't know if she's accepted that yet.
I have.
Or not, but if she did, I most certainly want to welcome her to it because she is very knowledgeable and will be an outstanding board member. Lisa, I was tickled to death to just hear that you say that you're accepting, so.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Absolutely.
All right, moving to our action agenda, Wrights Crossing Pump Station, USDA loan resolution of $3 million. Mr. Everly.
Commissioners, Resolution 17-25 is simply to authorize the board to execute a 40-year loan with USDA to cover the upgrades to the Wrights Crossing pumping station and other improvements that were made in the vicinity, which in the long run assist the county with its I&I program. Total cost of these upgrades and equipment acquisition totaled $4.9 million. The loan is for 2% with an annual debt service of approximately $109,000 a year that will be borne by the users of the system. This project is an important piece of the county's I&I program, and we're very fortunate to have received a $900,000 grant from USDA and a $1 million grant from the Maryland Department of the Environment.
Great. Any discussion?
No, sir.
Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Moving on to item number 5 is our 1718 National Bridge Inspection. Mr. Patterson.
Exciting.
Sir, how are you?
I'm great. How are you guys?
Good.
Okay, we're just 2017, 2018, every 2 years I come before you requesting your approval to accept the contract. I thought this year I'd give you a little bit more background about how this works. Federal law requires us to inspect these bridges that are greater than 20 feet at a minimum of every 2 years. 74 of these bridges exist in the county. 10 of them are the city of Cumberland, 1 Midland, 3 Leonard-County, 1 Westernport, and then the remainder is the county, 59. Historically, the county's used state highway consultants to be able to complete this work for the county. These guys are pre-qualified. 100% of the cost comes out of the county's federal bridge funds. This contract, this 2-year contract is in excess of 3,000 man hours. So I know in the past people have asked, either no local consultants able to do this work. So two things, they're not qualified, and they don't have the manpower. It's a big effort, and so most of these consultants that do this work are downstate, and they handle multiple counties at a time, and it's a lot of work for the people in their office. So there's no change. Again, seeking approval for the contract that we would begin work here very soon. Any questions?
Great. Just a general question, Adam, what would happen if, say, like a tractor trailer would slam into one of our bridges? Would they be held responsible for repairing that? Just in general?
Driver error?
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
So maybe if a train would run into a bridge, somehow they wouldn't be held responsible for it?
I guess that's to be determined.
All right.
Good answer.
And the footbridge at Bel Air Elementary, it hasn't grown to 20 feet to have to be inspected by this yet, has it?
These bridges are only carrying vehicular traffic, so it will not have to be
Wasn't that one
inspected.
designated for traffic now?
Hopefully not. I mentioned that at the state highway meeting this week, and so
They're taking care of that?
we're going to be working towards getting that pedestrian bridge taken.
Back to a
Replaced.
pedestrian bridge.
Great. Is there a motion to accept?
So move.
Second.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Thanks, Adam.
Thank you, guys.
Moving on to item number 6, Georges Creek Stream Restoration and Shaft. Angie Patterson.
It's a family thing.
Double the fun. Good evening, Commissioners. I'm requesting authorization from the County Commissioners this evening on 3 items related to restoration of 3,500 linear feet of Georges Creek and Shaft. First, I'm requesting authorization to accept funding awarded by DNR's Trust Fund Natural Filters Program in the amount of $786,422 for the stream restoration portion of the project. I anticipate this grant agreement would be ready for signature within a few weeks. Second, I'm requesting authorization to accept funds in the amount of $720,906 from MDE's Abandoned Mine Lands Division to fill and seal 2 surface mine pits, which is a necessary first step to realigning and restoring this stream. This memorandum of agreement with Abandoned Mine Lands Division will be ready for signature by December 31st. Finally, third, I'm requesting authorization to solicit qualifications and proposals for professional design services. We currently have a 70% design in hand as a result of MDE Watershed Assistance Grant Program funding. The chosen consultant will partner with county staff in delivering final construction plans and obtaining necessary permits for the complete restoration. This project was made a priority by our Chesapeake Bay TMDL Watershed Implementation Plan team due to its potential for water quality credits, while also addressing significant access and inflow and infiltration issues of the county's sanitary sewer interceptor. The sewer line is currently inaccessible for evaluation or maintenance in this area due to its location between the stream and the abandoned surface mine pit. The only cost to the county to complete this project is staff time to manage the project, estimated at $40,000. All design and construction funds have been secured, with an additional $500,000 in capital funds being budgeted by Abandoned Mine Lands Division for August of 2018. The project is anticipated to move into a construction phase at that time. The landowner is in support of the project. Once complete, the Department of Public Works will be able to gain access to the existing sewer to determine the specific course of action needed to address significant documented I&I issues within this reach of the sewer.
Great. Discussion.
Commissioners, I am going to ask a favor, if we will table this to a further date, till I meet with the Bureau of Mines and stuff on site, because there's several conflicting areas here. The part of this is it drains into the Huffman Tunnel. This is kind of a teardrop effect up there. There's about a total of 6 series of ponds in question, one of which does have a drill steel. It goes down to the Huffman Tunnel, one of which is a very large lake that houses beavers, fish, all this stuff that I guess can't live in the bad water has been living there since all about the early 40s. This has been a community pond ever since my mother was a kid. I've been stocking it with fish for the last 30 years. We fish it and take the boat. It says, let's see, it predates the sewer line by 40 years. I drove my truck down through there the other day. It is very accessible. I would like to look into this a little further. I spoke with the Jenkins family, I spoke with the Bureau of Mines, I asked for if they could leave a little pond, both agreed as part of this contract, and now it's not here. So gentlemen, if we can hold this off till I find out what's going on to the bottom of this, I'd be much indebted, but if we can't, we can't, so.
This isn't going to jeopardize any funding if it's delayed for, what, 2 weeks?
Yeah.
2 weeks, a month?
No, that will not jeopardize the funding.
All right. Without objection, let's table it to a meeting in October.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you.
Thanks, Andy. Moving to our consent agenda, Mr. Eberly.
Commissioners, this evening we have 6 items on your consent agenda for possible action. Item number 7 this evening is a motion to authorize the Board of Commissioners to enter into a memorandum of understanding with the Allegany County Board of Elections to give up the Allegany County Office Complex for early voting next year for both the primary and general election. Item 8 is a motion to award repairs to bridges 085 and 086 to Carl Belt in the amount of $462,065. Thank you, Mr. Patterson, for your patience on that project and your diligence. Item number 9 is a motion to award the replacement window contract for the county office building to Glass Service of Cumberland in the amount of $45,027. Item 10 is a motion to accept the annual MEMA grant in the amount of $83,273 to support program costs with the Department of Emergency Services. And item 11 is a motion to reappoint Mr. David C. Gayhoff to a new 6-year term on the LaVale Sanitary Commission. Item 12, Commissioners, is a motion to declare surplus the county's interest in real property located off of Willowbrook Road, known as the former Sandmar Girls Home. This motion also authorizes the required advertisement of our intent to transfer the property to the Western Maryland Health System to support their efforts in establishing a halfway transitional housing program at the property for residents in recovery. By way of background, the property was donated to the state back in the 1970s by the county with a right of reversion. However, the state of Maryland closed the facility a few years ago when the state shifted the Sandmar model from a group home model to a private residential family model. Commissioners, the proposed use by the health system is in partnership with the health department, and it will help address a critical need in the ongoing fight against opioid addictions.
Gentlemen, item number 7, our election voting. If we could pull that out and table it to maybe a future meeting without objection. Our voting machines are paid for by the county and the state, 50-50. The state has started a new process where they're not going to release precinct results on election night, that they've decided that their new system, according to policy, is that they're going to send all the results to Annapolis, and Annapolis will send them out as they see fit. I'm not exactly sure who's conducting the elections, whether it's us or them, and if they want to pay for it, they're welcome to. I feel that's public information. I feel that should be posted on every precinct, on every school and location the night of the election, and you can see it for transparency. The Board of Elections hasn't shown much interest in it. I know our local folks are concerned just because of transparency reasons, that they will give you one group total and then a couple weeks later they'll give you the breakdown. So I'd like to hold number 7 and we'll work on that.
I'm in favor of doing that.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, fine with me.
All right.
One more thing before we vote, if you can, you need to break item number 11 out. We're separate, so I can abstain from the vote on that.
Okay, let's vote on numbers 8, 9, 10, and 12.
Okay,
Make a motion, we accept those?
second.
All in favor? Aye. And on number 11, I'll make a motion, we accept Dave Gavehoff's appointment to the LaVale Sanitary
I'll
Board.
second that.
And I'll abstain.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
And 1 abstention. All right, with that, Mr. Eberly.
Commissioners, just yesterday you received correspondence from the Mayor and City Council of Cumberland. In the essence of time, I'd like to paraphrase their letter, if you don't mind. But in any event, in recent weeks, this letter is addressed to President Shade, and it's been copied to both Commissioners Brody and Valentine. In recent week, we've heard concerns expressed that the City of Cumberland has not adequately communicated its needs to the Allegheny County government. It's our opinion that a healthy Allegheny County depends significantly on a healthy City of Cumberland. While we have great respect for our fellow municipalities in Allegheny County, and they do outstanding work, Cumberland serves the county seat of Allegheny County and faces some unique challenges associated with having the largest concentration of county population and hosting most of the state and county public service agencies within its borders. Therefore, we would like to request the Board of Commissioners to assist in several areas. The first area, and I will paraphrase this, is a request that Allegheny County take steps to absorb the EMS service program currently offered by the City of Cumberland on July the 1st of 2018. The second issue is an assignment of 2 deputies per shift from the Allegheny County Sheriff's Office on a 24/7 basis within the city. A request is also related to tax differential. The City of Cumberland would like to have some conversation with the county relative to the current formula, which is dictated by a circuit court decision in the state of Maryland. Fourth is the construction of the new Allegany High School. The Marion City Council would like for have you consider paving Seaton Drive and Bishop Walsh Road in partnership with the city on a 50-50 match, up to $500,000 for that project. Fifth, the new school also gives the Marion City Council pause as it relates to the potential vacancy of the existing Allegany High School and their desire that it will not be left in a blighted condition. And finally, the Marion City Council would like for the Board of Commissioners to recognize our fund balance and that our fund balance could be used for the possible remedy of some of these items. Commissioners, with your participation, I have prepared a response. If you would like for me to read it into the record, I will do so at this time.
Please do.
Commissioners, our letter is dated September the 21st, 2017. It's to the Honorable Brian K. Grimm and council members. Dear Mayor Grimm and council members, the Board of Commissioners of Allegheny County is in receipt of your letter dated September 18th, 2017 regarding various public service issues and a request for financial and operational considerations across the board. We will take this opportunity to address each one of the points raised in your correspondence and provide you with feedback. We must preface our comments with the restatement that the county's revenue estimates for both property tax and income tax are relatively flat. At the same time, costs associated with funding public education, health care, maintaining roads with only a small share of our highway user funds we once enjoyed, requires us to make painful decisions. As such, our capacity to assist the city is limited. With regard to EMS, the county has taken steps to expand its EMS program to meet growing demands. Additional county personnel were recently put into place to address the cessation of the Frostburg Area Ambulance Organization. In the coming months, additional personnel will be hired to serve areas east of Cumberland to reduce demands currently placed upon the city. We welcome future discussions with the city relative to the consolidation of services on EMS and in other areas that could potentially eliminate the duplication of services for the taxpayers. It is important to emphasize that the county will not enter into any expansion of services within the city on EMS until such time as a clearly defined revenue stream is available to adequately cover the expenses associated with the expanded service. Using fund balance resources without a clearly defined revenue source long-term is not acceptable. Regarding the county's funding additional law enforcement inside the city on a 24/7, 365 basis, funding is also a consideration. We estimate the cost to be well in excess of $500,000 per year for personnel only to provide the service you request. The city's municipal charter authorizes the hiring of law enforcement personnel, and the residents of Cumberland are granted a differential on their tax bills to offset the city's investment for these services. Again, making a commitment to expand the Sheriff's Road Patrol without a clearly defined source of new revenue would not be prudent, and the assignment of any new personnel, existing or proposed, is not a function of our board. That responsibility lies with the sheriff. On the question of tax differential, the city and county are currently operating under the latest circuit court ruling rendered in 2004. As defined by state law and the court's ruling, the differential only pertains to the level of duplicative services provided by the county and each municipality that is supported by property tax revenue. We are not opposed to discussing the financial impacts of our citizens paying for duplicative services. Each and every year during our public budget meetings, we outline for the taxpayer the number of services the county is obligated to pay for that municipalities don't pay for. These services account for nearly $61 million of the county's general fund budget. For purposes of clarification, we have attached a portion of our approved FY 2018 budget that displays a list of entities and services that all citizens of Allegany County derive a benefit from that are paid for by the county, not the municipalities. The county will take your request to provide funding for paving Seaton Drive and Bishop Walsh Drive under advisement. It is important to note that municipalities across the state have had a larger portion of their highway user funds returned than was returned to the counties. Allegany County has been forced to budget with a loss of over $4 million of highway user funds over the past 8 years. In lieu of setting a precedent to support such a large paving project, we would like to discuss with the city the prospect of county crews working within the city for a defined period of time each summer to apply chip seal coating on low-volume roads. A recent partnership with the Board of Education provided us the opportunity to allow crews to chip seal parking areas and access roads at both Washington and Braddock middle schools. The cost savings to the Board of Ed was substantial. A chip seal application can be done for a fraction of the cost of paving, and it is certainly better than having no maintenance completed at all, which is what is taking place now. We believe that over time, many city residents would appreciate having some of their low-volume roads and byways improved beyond their current condition. We will take your position on the soon-to-be vacant Allegany High School property into consideration. It would be optimal to have the property redeveloped and contributing to the tax base of both the city and the county. Community interest in the property will also be carefully evaluated by the county. Any further discussion on this topic is premature, as the Board of Education is still evaluating the need to retain portions of the property for educational purposes. The city's reference to the county's fund balance has been noted, and we thank you for recognizing our efforts to live within our means as commendable. As publicly reported during our budget development process, the county maintains the minimum level of fund balance suggested by both the Government Finance Officers Association and the Government Accounting Standards Board. Funds in excess of the amounts desired have been used most recently to cover funding shortfalls for the new Allegany High School and to reduce the amount we needed to borrow to upgrade all public safety agencies in the county with new state-of-the-art radios for migration to the new state radio frequency. Of the $5 million the county recently borrowed to fund the purchase of the equipment, 20% of the new debt will be used to install radios in fire trucks, ambulances, and police cars owned by the City of Cumberland. We will not apologize for being responsible stewards of the taxpayers' money. As such, we are accustomed to being targeted for our business-like decisions from entities that are not responsible for paying the debt on large capital projects obligated to us by the state on behalf of multiple agencies. We would like to return to the opening paragraph in your letter that discussed Cumberland's unique challenges. Mayor Grimm has made the difficult observation on numerous occasions that the city today has twice the amount of public infrastructure it needs to support its current population. That indeed makes for a difficult set of variables, particularly when the tax base of the city is declining. For the record, it must be clearly stated that cities all across the nation are facing very similar challenges. No entity, whether public or private, relishes reducing or eliminating services. Unfortunately, if you do not have money to sustain the programs you now have in place, asking county government to be a solution without structural changes on the city's part will only jeopardize the county's financial well-being and delay inevitable changes for the city. The recent tax increase is only a bandage on a much larger problem. Your letter to us only begs the observation on our part that it is now time for the city to begin a formal assessment on the need to retain its municipal charter. In the interim, we will continue to encourage our staff to meet with city staff to pursue opportunities for consolidation and collaboration. Commissioners, your preference?
Sign and send.
Thank you. Mr. Rudd.
I'm going to take a personal note in terms of the passing of Commissioner Bond. I was appointed to county government as an assistant county attorney in 1983. Arthur was the president at that time. Served with him after every other term that he was in office. Had a lot of respect for Arthur. As I told his sons and his family when I was at the viewing the other day, that Arthur was not a man with a lot of formal education, but he was a very smart man. And a lot of people underestimated Arthur's intelligence to their detriment. He was able to grasp a lot of complicated issues in county government. He had a lot of street smarts, but he also had a lot of common sense. And I know that the people who were able to serve with him, the employees, respected Arthur. He was very loyal to county employees and staff, and he served the county well. I think his family can be very proud of his heritage, and he certainly will be missed. So.
Thank you, Mr. Rudd. Mr. Valentine.
I'll just make a few quick comments about the letter that Dave just read. I think my favorite line in there is, "We will not apologize for being responsible stewards of the taxpayer money." I know 6 or 7 years ago, Creed and I took some tough votes, took some tough steps, and we did it in public to keep this county's financial situation under control. Just today, in the earlier work session, all 3 commissioners took a vote to take some more steps. We look forward, take a look at what's going to have to be done to keep the county operating properly. And it disturbed me quite a bit whenever we have the Board of Education, who is not taking that type of steps, come to us and say, "Oh, hey, we spent our fund balance, give us yours." And now the city of Cumberland's doing the same thing. There are some very obvious things they can do to control their own destiny, and instead they come, "Give us your money, and then we'll all be broke together." And that's not my way to do business.
Nor mine.
Thank you. Commissioner Brody.
I want to jump back a little bit to what Bill Rudd was talking about, because for anyone to sit up here and serve as 5 terms as a county commissioner is almost impossible. Arthur Bond was a true gentleman. He was, when I considered running in 2010, he was the first person I went and seen months before he even mentioned it. And he said, "Well, get prepared." He said, "You can do this job. I know you. I've known you my whole life." He said, "One thing you're going to learn right off the bat is everything that goes wrong in the county is automatically your fault." He said, "So that's the first thing that you're going to remember. Second thing to remember is if you do one good thing for anyone, everyone else is going to want to take credit for it." And boy, did that stand true. "And everybody's gunning for you at all times." He said, "So if you live off those 3 things," and he went on and we had a little bit more discussion, and he said, and the main thing is I was leaving that day. I was with him for a couple hours. And I said this up at Frostburg the night that he retired as mayor, which he also served 5 terms as mayor of Frostburg. The one thing that it still sticks in my mind is he said, "Never, ever, ever get in a peeing contest with a skunk, because you'll lose every time." And that is the absolutely truth. And why Arthur, another thing is so special to me, Arthur's 2 great-granddaughters is my granddaughters. So I got to see Arthur a lot, and he really is a true statesman. The county flag is flying at half-mast this week in honor of Art, and I contacted the governor's office to ask him if they would fly the state flag over the Capitol at half-mast in a day to honor Arthur Bond and Larry Kelly. The response we got back was that's, and I most certainly understand this, that honor is reserved for servicemen killed in action, which I wholeheartedly agree, but what they did do was give us permission to fly our state flag at our building at half-mast in their honor. So, gentlemen, tomorrow, if we could, lower them for till Tuesday for 2 days for each one of those fine gentlemen in their honor.
Absolutely. Thanks, Commissioner.
Thank you.
It's very nice.
Commissioner, may I
Please.
volunteer one thing? I was at the funeral the other day, and a lot of wonderful people there that I've had close ties with over the years. Arthur and I were great friends. I was one of the few people in this room, however, that served with the county government and the city government for over 3 decades that didn't work with Arthur. When I was first hired by the city, he was a county commissioner. When I was hired by the county, he was back at the city of Frostburg.
Was he trying to avoid you, David?
No, he may have, but I've made the observation before, and a lot of people here will recognize this, but over the last 3 decades, like you guys, we have endured a lot of speeches from governors, lieutenant governors, United States senators, congressmen and women, cabinet secretaries, diplomats, you name it. And perhaps the most memorable speech I ever heard came from Arthur Bond. It came on a night when the city of Frostburg 20 years ago honored him after serving his first 4 terms here at the county. And that night he could have talked about 1,000 things. He could have talked about economic development projects, Beaterlack, Bayliner, talk about Blue Cross Blue Shield, industrial park, access roads, water line, sewer line projects, libraries in Westernport, LaVale, Cumberland, and Lonaconing. But he didn't do that. That night he wanted to talk about who he was before he entered public service. And it was a spellbinding speech, and it's one I'm sure he'd given many times in his life, but he wanted to talk about how he overcame an addiction to alcohol. That's what he wanted to talk about. Well, when he was finished that evening, you could have heard a pin drop in that room. It was amazing. And that was one of my most memorable Arthur Bond moments, and I wanted to share that tonight. Well, thank you.
Great. Thanks, Mr. Eberly. With that, I will say we did hear back from the Maryland Historic Trust on the pillars. We are moving forward slowly, and at a price tag that's not going to be $200,000. So we did get preliminary approval. We can go and do some test patches and go from there. So thank you, Mr. Patterson and our Public Works Department on that long project, still undergoing. Signed up tonight, we do have Mr. Kenneth Wilmot.
Good evening.
Evening.
It was a beautiful day today. I enjoyed every second of it. I'm Kenneth Wilmot, live at 513 Ford Avenue. I'd just like to make a comment or two on a couple of subjects. I went to the city and spoke on the bridge up on Washington Street. I suggested that they team up with the railroad and put in a drawbridge. That went over like you know what. They could care less about that bridge. And they could care, oh, we can't do that. We don't want to get a fight with CSX. Well, CSX is earning a lot of money out of Cumberland. And the next thing is, give you a little insight, downtown farmers market. I have worked farmers market for 20 years. For 15 years, I worked out on Paul Rice's farm, helped me pick, sell, transport, everything. We no longer stay open at 2 o'clock. We close at 1 o'clock. And we're not selling, I'd say, a fourth of what we used to, due to people leaving Cumberland and the area. Of course, we all know there's no work, but I just thought I'd give you a little insight. There's no sense staying open when there's nobody on Balmer Street to sell it to, you know. So they backed up to 1 o'clock. Anyway, on the shelter, I'm particularly interested on this advisory board. I went there on August the 15th, and I asked a whole line of questions. Same questions I've been asking for 6 years. And for 6 years, I've got no answers. I'll read a list of them to you. Foster homes. Where are these foster homes? How many cats are in these foster homes? If they are neutered prior to being put in these foster homes, that is a basic need. Now, if they're not neutering them, are they keeping the males and females separated so we don't have what we got in Cumberland right now? Is just cats and barking dogs everywhere. You can't walk down any sidewalk without 2 or 3 dogs barking at you. Next thing in all these foster homes, who provides the food? No answer. For years, I've been asked all these questions for 6 years. How many $40 adoption fees has been collected? No answer. Okay, this year, the shelter was under quarantine. I asked when the quarantine started and when it ended, and how many animals died, and who goes out there and says that it needs to be quarantined. Do we have a vet that does that, or does somebody else do it? And does somebody who goes out and says the quarantine is, the animals are okay, we'll release the quarantine? Next question, big questions, transfers. They transfer hundreds of animals. I said, where are you transferring them to? Next question, same as foster homes. Are you neutering these animals prior to transfer? They should be. No animal should move out of that shelter until they're neutered. Agreed. Now then, next thing is, how are we or anybody to identify a cat running around in the neighborhood if it's been neutered? Are they tagging them? Are they putting collars on them? Are they microchipped? It costs you $45 to take an animal up to the vet and have it microchipped. It's not a cheap item, not in. When it comes to the quarantine, these dead animals, the public should be told what disease they die from. The public should know not to go near the place with their animals. Was the quarantine published in the paper to warn the public? Was it published when the quarantine is over? And who does all this approval? What vet does this? As it stands here, to this day, there hasn't been a vet on the advisory board for 6 years, and it's required for obvious reasons. Now, I was at the board meeting in January 2011 when they voted on a kill, no kill. It was 100% kill. The no kill was a bad idea. It's still a bad idea. It cost the taxpayers millions of dollars. Now then, at the meeting they said they had 80 dogs and 233 cats out the shelter. I don't know what it costs to feed them things, but it costs a lot of money. Not only money to feed them, but we got to haul the filth away that they generate. And that's even more. I went out there one day and they had a rollback, the biggest one you can hire, full of feces matters. Now then, I just did a rough estimate. It's costing the taxpayers between $600 and $700 to rescue those dogs and animals out there, cats. I mean, it doesn't make sense for us to throw our money into a hole that produces nothing. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Wilmot.
Sir?
With that, our next public business meeting will be Thursday, October 12th, 5 p.m. in this room. With that.